Now, in the investigation into the attempt to overturn the 2020 election, the Department of Justice revealed it has obtained a search warrant to be able to go through the phone of former election lawyer for Donald Trump, John Eastman. Eastman was one of the chief architects, you'll remember, of the plan for then Vice President Mike Pence to overturn the 2020 election. He wrote that infamous memo and spoke at the Stop the Steal rally on January 6th. Eastman's phone was physically seized on June 22nd, but federal investigators tell a judge they obtained a second warrant on July 12th to search its contents. The filing comes in response to efforts by Eastman to stop investigators from, quote, rummaging through his phone, arguing the initial warrant was too broad and risked the disclosure of privileged information. Speaking of the effort to overturn the election, Jonathan Lemire, let's get to your book, The Big Lie, out this week. And some of the fallout from the big lie, which is to say Republicans in states across the country introducing and in some cases passing legislation limiting access to the ballot based on something that didn't happen. So saying there was all this fraud in 2020, we have to make new laws to prevent it next time when there wasn't fraud to begin with. And this is something that the Biden administration in its first year and a half or so has bumped up against.
Yeah, and thank you, Willie. Certainly, the story of the big lie in my book doesn't end on January 6th. In fact, those next few months are so vital shaping what's come forward. First of all, the Republicans had a chance to cut ties with Donald Trump. There was that moment on January 7th or after his second impeachment trial, and they chose not to. And Kevin McCarthy, the first to Mar-a-Lago and certainly not the last, and Trump remained in power there and contains his grip on the Republican Party. But you're right. The Republicans across the states, nearly 24 in the state legislatures, use the big lie as cover to do something, frankly, a lot of them had wanted to do for a long time, which is restrict the access to the ballot. And they said, well, look, we have to cut down on fraud. And good government groups say consistently that those voters who risk being disenfranchised overwhelmingly tend to vote Democratic. So this was happening at the state level. There are some who believe the Biden White House was slow to react, that they're focused on the pandemic and other matters. And it wasn't until many months later did we hear from the President of the United States. He gave a speech at the Constitution Center in Philadelphia, declaring this the greatest threat to American democracy since the Civil War. But even then, another 6 months lapsed before there was an effort to have real federal voting rights protections, a movement that was defeated by Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema because they didn't want to touch the filibuster.
And one of the more interesting aspects of the book is the way you lay out the foundation of the big lie. And the former president has a history, a lifetime of lies behind him. Lied about not being able to get an NFL team years ago. Lied about the Emmys were rigged and he didn't get an Emmy for The Apprentice, things like that. But there was a specific moment that you point out in the book where the big lie took on a life of its own politically.
Well, first, Trump, we should note as backing up that Trump's entire political career is based on a lie. He gained fame and notoriety in conservative circles for the racist lie that was birtherism, that when he claimed that Barack Obama was not born in the United States and therefore not eligible to be president. Now, that conspiracy theory existed before Trump latched onto it, but he was its largest proponent. And that is how he became a star on the right in 2010, 2011, and so on. In fact, then confronted by President Obama in his memorable White House Correspondents' Dinner speech in 2011, the same day that Obama gave the order for the mission that ended the life of one Osama bin Laden. But certainly that moment there was Trump's first big political lie, not his last. And this one in the book details how he just prepared the Republicans and the conservative media to go along with whatever he said by wearing down their trust in the institutions of the U.S. government and the sanctity of the ballot.
If you're one of the few remaining Americans who's not yet purchased a copy of The Big Lie, and there aren't many of you left, you still have a chance. It's available at your local bookstore or online. John, we'll talk much more about it tomorrow.